What's going on, guys? This is Joe with Hendo Daily, and as promised, this is my review of the Kizer Deckhand after carrying it around as my main EDC for the last couple of weeks. I just kind of wanted to go over some of the pros, some of the cons, and just talk to you guys about my experience with carrying this for the last couple of weeks. So first off, though, some of the specs on this. This is a Tyler Barnes design. Overall is 6.33 inches. From end to end, the handle 3.38 inches, and tip of the blade to the choil was 2.94. So then obviously the cutting edge of the blade was just a little bit under that. It weighs 3.7 ounces without the sheath, and it is a full tang knife made from D2 steel, and the handles being black micarta with a G10 layer underneath that. And I mentioned this in the unboxing video I did with it. I really like how they layered the G10 underneath the micarta. I think it looks real slick, looks really good. Still got the grippy micarta scales, and they'll patina over time, so I think they look great. But just wanted to point that out, that I like how they did that G10 layer underneath the black micarta. So a couple comparisons though with this, just to kind of give you an idea of the size of it. I wear medium to large size glove, and I can get 3.5 just about all 4 fingers on there. So perfect handle size for my hand personally. And with this, I've got the SE Azula 2 as well as the Gerber Principal. And quick side note on the Gerber Principal, I think I'm definitely going to do a video on this one, because this knife has really surprised me with how great it is. But not to get too sidetracked on that, as you can see, it is clearly not a whole lot shorter than the Azula 2, but quite a bit shorter than the Principal. So it is definitely a small, compact EDC fixed blade. Get these out of the way, and then here we have it next to the SOG Terminus XR and the Civivi Elementum. So as you can see, these are clearly, again, quite not a whole lot longer, but a good chunk of steel longer than this Kizer Deckhand. So that kind of shows you and gives you an idea of how compact and small this thing really is, but not so small that it's, you can't grip it or hold it well. So the best knife that I have to compare this to as far as a folder, and this is a discontinued knife, but the Civivi Odium. I think that's pretty much square up, same length, same blade length and cutting edge. So probably the best comparison I have as far as a folder to how big this knife is, or how small this knife is rather. But so couple of pros that I noticed over the last couple weeks carrying this. Excuse me. Definitely compact enough for what I wanted. That was always my second biggest complaint in trying to find a fixed blade to EDC, was finding something that was right in that range of not being too small. Like for me was the CRKT Minimalist. It's a great knife. It's a great neck knife or EDC knife for some people, but it was just a little too small for me, and didn't really like how the carry options for it. So still a great knife. I've looked at maybe getting one again in the future, but it was a little too small. And then you've got a couple other fixed blades that I've tried, like the Azula 2 as an EDC. The carry and setup I have for it, it wouldn't work for me to carry every single day. That is more my hiking companion, my outdoor companion. But this, for me, was that perfect medium of a good size for me to EDC without being, dangling something well below my belt or having something right up. And that was one of the other pros that I had for this, was the sheath. That is the number one biggest complaint I have for any fixed blade that I tried to EDC. The sheath was always, I don't like the scout carry or the horizontal carry. I prefer to carry them vertically and on my belt, just personal preference. And although this does ride to where the handle sticks above the belt line, I never had any issues with this handle rubbing like on my hip or poking or digging into me or anything like that. It always stayed off just enough that I knew it was there, but it wasn't bothering me at all. And I really appreciated that with this sheath, because it also didn't hang down too low. So like for my uniform, it didn't hang out below that, and it wasn't riding up too high on my side. So I would give this, 8 out of 10 on the sheath, because it does what it needs to do. It's a good Kydex sheath. It's got a great belt clip on it. Good retention. It's got the little drain hole down there as well. So great sheath overall. And that was, like I said, always my #1 complaint on trying to EDC a fixed blade was the sheath. And then the other pro that I really liked about this was the D2 steel and the sheep's foot blade shape. I love this blade shape. I think it looks really cool. It's obviously very utilitarian. And D2 is great. I felt like I heard a lot of people saying it was overused in a lot of knives, and Civivi used it a lot in a bunch of their models, but I love D2. It's a good tough steel. It's easy to maintain the edge. It's easy to sharpen if you need to, and it holds its edge well enough for what I need it to do. So I like the blade steel and the blade shape of this knife very much. As far as cons, I really don't have any. I mean, I was sitting here making notes for this video, trying to think of like what is something negative I can say about this knife. The only thing I could even possibly think of is if I could raise this up just a little bit so the knife sits a little bit lower on my belt. I mean, like maybe ½ an inch lower, and that's just me being very nitpicky. Because where it's at now, I don't have any major complaints. But if I could lower it just a little bit, I would. But it's even then not a game changer at all. So really no major cons on this knife. It is a great budget fixed blade. I mean, this thing is $49 on the Kizer website and most other dealer websites. $49 for full tang D2 with G10 and micarta scales. A great Kydex sheath. Great Kydex sheath that sits well on the belt. This is truly awesome bang for your buck knife. Like I said, I have no cons or complaints. So with all that being said, is this the knife that I will carry around every day? Did this change me to becoming a fixed blade EDC only? No. Even with all that said, and no complaints about this knife whatsoever, I think it just comes down to I'm just too picky and too scatterbrained. There was a couple of times throughout the past 2 weeks that I was, carrying this that I'm like, I kind of just wish I had my my Wii Mini Mouse in my pocket. And that's just because my brain just gets bored and I constantly want to swap out knives and swap out my carry. And, I have this whole knife collection that I'm like, I want to make sure I carry everything. That's why I have these knives. And so I don't think that this will be my end-all be-all EDC. I could see myself carrying this quite a bit, especially to a lot of different things for work or just being outdoors, working out in the yard. I could definitely still see myself carrying this. So I think it just comes down to me being, like I said, me being picky and wanting to swap out my EDC rotation. But none of that is a knock on this knife by any means whatsoever. This is, again, a great knife, great price point. I absolutely love this. I think it just comes down to me wanting to mix things up too much to make this a committed EDC for the next foreseeable future. But this is one that will definitely stay in my rotation. I'm not even going to keep it out in my my storage out in the garage. This is going to stay either on my nightstand or on in my knife display case inside, because I will definitely be swapping this out and carrying this quite a bit. So if you are looking for a good size compact fixed blade to EDC, this honestly, Kizer, gets a 10 out of 10 for me. I really, really love this knife, and that's why it's going to stay inside, stay in my rotation. So when my scatterbrain is like, nah, I'm ready to carry a fixed blade today, I can do it. So that's it. That's my review. Those are my comments, my pros, cons, all the good stuff. Kizer's Deckhand is awesome. This is a great knife, and I'm looking forward to carrying it more often. So again, if you guys are in the market for an EDC, for a fixed blade to EDC, check out Kizer's Deckhand. They just had, I saw a few more variants come out of it, different colors, different color handles, handle materials. So they've definitely got a good variety, good options to pick from. So check them out, Kizer's Deckhand. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.